Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Wrestling Worth Watching for the Week. Yeah, I think that's the name of it. In any case, I'm going to go over all the wrestling that I managed to take in this week and let you know what was worth watching, usually for great reasons, sometimes for bad reasons, so bad it's good kind of deal, or a good learning experience. And that includes pay-per-views. So Impact had Hard to Kill, I believe, and of course, the WWE with their premium live event, I fucking hate saying that, of Wrestlemania Backlash. So let's get into it. Hopefully when I shrink this down, it will continue to record. Is that true? It sure will. That's great news, because then I can look at my notes. My car broke down, so I'm on the side of the road waiting for the tow truck driver. Had to renew my AAA membership, but so it goes. They say they're going to get here at 5:09. I'm going to make use of my motherfucking time. We start with AEW Dark Elevation from May 2nd. Two things worth seeing on this one. Anthony Ogogo with his ring return against Goldie, who's wrestled there once, but that wasn't the thing. Anthony Ogogo looks really, really crisp. He had put up some clips of him training in wrestling, and obviously it's paid off. I also like his new finisher much better than punch to the gut. Some kind of pop-up uppercut thing seems to work for him. That's worth watching. And how fucking overwilling Willow Nightingale is. She's lost a bunch of matches, and then when she lost a match to Red Velvet, I believe, on Dynamite, people were really going for her. And AEW clearly recognizes that, because she picks up her first win against Gia Scott. So it's cool to see just how over Willow Nightingale is. She doesn't, have the typical mold of what you would expect for a young, trim female wrestler. But she looks like somebody who'd beat your ass in a wrestling match. And that's how she's being booked. Really great to see. On Raw, that was a fucking waste of time, but the Bloodline entrance, which is the one thing that people seem to be complaining about, that it's too fucking long and blah, 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 that's the only part that I truly enjoyed of the whole thing. I thought the Bloodline entrance was really, really great, and just a sort of a reminder of how over this thing is, and all the rest of it. That's easy, isn't it? Tuesday night, we got AEW Dark. I love Lord Crew so much that I'm going to say him and Shawn Spears is worth seeing, even though it's kind of a typical Shawn Spears match, which is not to say it was bad, it was fine. But Lord Crew getting that nod, I really like that dude. Tony Nese, who's good in and of himself, but he's wrestling Leon Ruffin, formerly known as Leon Ruff, in NXT, who got a bit of a good push there and was inexplicably let go. Has a really good match with Tony Nese here. And then Toni Storm, I think the best that she's looked in a while against Diamante. I love that finisher from Toni Storm, that, it was at Storm Zero, that like kind of quick set pile driver. And the way that she covers is, it's up there with Rhea Ripley on the hot scale, and it really looks like it could pin the person. So I like that a lot. Good showing from Toni Storm. NXT, this was their spring break-in show. Terrible name. That practical joke shit with Toxic Attraction and Wendy Chu, and it was so fucking awful. And it doesn't make sense. I kind of liked it for the terrible value of it. And plus, it was the only way they were going to get you a freaking bikini shots of anybody. So, take it for what it was. The match with Cameron Grimes as the North American champ against Carmelo Hayes and Solo Sikoa was really great stuff here. It looks like they're going to go into Carmelo Hayes against Cameron Grimes. But Solo Sikoa is clearly going to have his time in the future. That was a fantastic freaking match. On Dynamite, lots of stuff worth seeing and talking about. AEW tends to inspire that more in me. It is the way it is. Blackpool Combat Club against Butcher Blade and Angelico. It wasn't anything particularly special, except I thought the Blackpool Combat Club are really convalescing their thing really well. And are they the most significant and interesting trio wrestling together? That spot that they do where all three of them end up beating down three other dudes at the exact same time that always gets a huge crown pop is a great spot. It's obviously great for Wheeler, Utah. And beyond that, I have a feeling AEW is going to create those trios titles, and it would be hard-pressed to imagine anybody beating the Blackpool Combat Club. But there are a lot of teams of three. And not since, I'll just say this, the days of the Von Erichs against the Freebirds, where they competed for that six-man title in World Class that mattered, would a six-man title even begin to interest me since then? And that had to be, what, fucking 40 years ago? Jesus. Wardlow against Morrissey is great. I think Morrissey definitely got himself a gig in WWE eventually because of this match. And the kind of politics of it, that he only took the one powerbomb, but boy, he took it great. And Wardlow continues his meteoric, and that is not an exaggeration, rise in AEW. The Hangman Page promo, I thought is the best promo that Hangman Page has ever cut. I like the angle that he's taking with this Punk thing of it's going to be a fucking fight, and I'm not coming there to do a Punk match. I'm coming there to beat his ass. I thought it was fantastic. Fantastic. And that Varsity Blonde segment with Julia Hart and the House of Black and the Death Triangle was so fucking terrible. It was maybe the worst booked, most awkward thing out of any of the shows. Dynamite is just such highs and such lows. God, it was fucking awful. Awful, awful. The promo by Pillman, awful. The whole tease of Julia Hart, what's she gonna do, and then does nothing, awful. Just everything was terrible. Impact, the only thing that was really, you had to go out of your way to see, I'm not going to say that things were bad on the show, it's just nothing really stood out, but that Jonah against PCO Monsters Ball match had a couple of really sick spots. I don't want to spoil it for you, for those of you who listen to this and go watch what I tell you to watch, go watch that shit. It was nuts. Let me see, I just got a text. Service will arrive by 5:02. Okay, it cut down the time on a little bit. Yay-ish. That's exactly an hour from now. Balls. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Man, the matches are fine, but I find myself drifting and doing other things while I'm watching them, which is never a good sign. So, meh, I'd say you're not missing anything yet. SmackDown also, you're not missing fucking anything. When did Raw become the slightly more interesting show? That's sad. That's sad. It's probably when Roman Reigns was allowed to go on both shows. Truth. Rampage. Britt and Jamie Hayter against Toni Storm and Ruby Soho, because I think it's one of these matches that shows that AEW takes this knock for having a really shitty women's division. I just don't think it's as true anymore. And this match showed it. It was well coordinated, well done, and the finishing sequence, which is usually a weakness in AEW programming, was phenomenal. And the booking was very solid of, I thought Britt Baker taking the pin was a fucking great thing. Great fucking thing. Impact Under Siege, I gotta say, it was kind of meh. I guess I liked Ishii against Josh Alexander. Would I tell any of my friends you gotta go out of your way to watch it? No. The Mia Yim debut was cool, except for the fact that this shit, so Deonna Purrazzo gets rolled up by Taya Valkyrie and loses, and then beats her down to get her heat back, and then Mia Yim comes out. What is up with people and their fucking weird decisions with women wrestling and how to debut or re-debut people? Deonna Purrazzo loses, and then so that's who Mia Yim is going to compete against? Weird. Weird. Other than that, is definitely a minor Impact pay-per-view, and most of the matches could be missed. I'm just saying. Doesn't mean they were horrible, just meaning I would not tell friends you got to go out of your way to see any of that shit. And then Wrestlemania Backlash. Ronda Rousey against Charlotte was phenomenal, and in the I Quit match, I thought that was excellent. And then seeing how over Randy Orton is really remarkable. And the RK Bro and Drew versus the Bloodline, I think, is definitely worth checking out for a lot of reasons. Anyway, super exciting if this recorded. Let me see. Let us cross our fingers. It did! 9 minutes long and counting. But that was the wrestling worth watching in the week. No, there's 5 W's. Wrestling worth watching for the week. I don't fucking remember. In any case, this has been Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling.